Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I know I'm late, and I apologize for that. Today is a big day. We leave tomorrow morning for Alaska, KellyGirl and I. So I apologize for being late, but we're doing it. This will be our last live show for the next 2 weeks. We will be live again on the 19th, but today will be the last time we're live till the 19th of September. We are leaving for Alaska tomorrow morning. It's a big, big deal. Never been there before. I want to thank everybody over at Pacific Sport Fishing Alliance, Larry Hansen and his family for allowing KellyGirl and I to bring 10 of our favorite members up to the lodge in Alaska. You can't even imagine how excited I am about this trip. And Pacific Sport Fishing Alliance has been a sponsor with us for a couple of years now, and I'm super excited to be finally getting to go see this lodge that I've been talking about for so long and seen all the great videos. So Larry Hansen and everybody over at Pacific Sport Fishing Alliance, thank you very, very much. And today is Fishing Booker Thursday. So I want to thank everybody over at fishingbooker.com for all the support. We are just super excited to have Fishing Booker as a part of your saltwater guide, and all the new sponsors, Manser Marine, McCarty Yacht Sales, Code 4 Roofing, Stanley Plumbing, and then Okuma and Deckhand Sports and Promar and Justin Botrell, Bowline Sport Fishing, and Captain Al Clowers and Pablo Fernandez and everybody else that's part of this. Thank you very, very much for supporting your saltwater guide. Kelly and I cannot do any of this without all of you. So thank you very much. And fishingbooker.com, thank you very, very much for all your support. Gang, if you're anywhere on the planet and you want to go fishing, all you got to do is go to fishingbooker.com and tell them where you're at, and they will give you a laundry list of boats that you can pick to go fishing on. And that is a pretty incredible thing because we all need to fish wherever we are on the planet Earth. So thank you very, very much, Fishing Booker, for being a part of your saltwater guide. And thanks for allowing us. I was talking to the owner the other day on a conference call, and I want to thank Vulcan and everybody over at Fishing Booker for putting this great project together. I just think it's one of the most coolest things ever to be able to just jump online wherever you're at and be able to jump on a boat and go fishing. And with all the great reviews and everything, I know Captain Al's part of Fishing Booker, Danor Sport Fishing, my family, Donna Kalis and my brother Mike, they're part of Fishing Booker. A lot of the sport fishing boats in San Diego are part of Fishing Booker. Pablo is part of Fishing Booker. Justin's part of Fishing Booker. So fishingbooker.com is the place to go to get out fishing on a boat anywhere on the planet Earth, Hawaii, Dubai, Alaska, everywhere. So thank you, everybody over at fishingbooker.com. And gang, I'm super excited to take some time off of social media. I've been killing it here on social media for 4 years now. Elliot Andrews and I have been absolutely killing it, putting out phenomenal content, getting you everybody involved, getting all our sponsors and everything. But Captain Dave needs to recharge his battery. So we are leaving for Alaska. After this podcast today, I'm going to do my very, very best to try to stay off of social media as much as I can. Now, a bunch of our members are going with us up to Alaska, and they want to do the live show. So we'll be in the lodge at night, probably after dinner, doing some live shows from the lodge. It's going to be kind of exciting because we're going to get the boys, get the girls, get everybody together and sit around and do a round table up there. Maybe not every night, but probably a couple of nights. So you're going to get to find out what we're doing in Alaska. But other than that, I'm going to try to stay off of social media, do my very best. KellyGirl and I need some quality time together. I need to jump off. I got shown the numbers of the amount of time I spend on there. The amount of time you guys spend watching our videos is an astronomical number. The amount of time I spend answering all your comments is mind-numbing amount of time. So I just want to thank you all, though, for all that. And just understand, we're going to do something that we haven't done in 4.5 years. We're going to jump off of social media for a little while and spend some quality time with a bunch of our members from your Saltwater Guide up in Gustavus, Alaska with Larry Hansen. And this trip we've been looking forward to for a very long time. I've been looking forward to this trip since I was a little kid. I've never been to Alaska before, so I'm super excited. We put together a great group of men and women that are going to be up there with us. We got 2 different groups of people coming, and we're going to have the time of our lives. And you guys are going to get to meet everybody up there, and you're going to get to find out if it was worth going with Captain Dave and KellyGirl up to Alaska. We're going to open it up and do some live stuff up there. So stay tuned for that. I don't know what time it'll happen. I don't know when it'll happen, but we'll do our very best to make sure it happens. And Elliot will keep you guys abreast of what's going on up there, I promise you. And we'll do our best to do our game plans. All our game plans are out right now. Everybody got the game plans to me early. We got all the game plans out for this weekend, but unfortunately, it's a really windy weekend. So Channel Islands is off the books. I wouldn't go there. Offshore, Justin talks about it. I talk about it. It's going to be extremely rough offshore. So if you're not on a 65 to 80 foot sport boat, probably not a good idea to be out there by any stretch of the imagination. And then we have some good coastal weather. The weather right along the beach is going to be pretty decent. It's going to be a little swelly, a little windy, but it's going to beat the heat because it's hotter than heck right now in Southern California. It's super hot. So you want to get down there, do some bay fishing. Captain Al Clowers has a phenomenal game plan for the bay. It's going to be great. You got to go check it out. I already posted it. It's up on the game plan. So if you want to check that out. And then today what we're doing is I just talked to Steve over at Promar. Those Go Shrimp pumps are on a ship setting in the middle of Long Beach Harbor. So if you're driving around in Long Beach, you'll see the container ship out there in the middle of the bay, setting there with our Promar Go Shrimp pumps. As soon as we get those off the ship, we're getting them straight down to Captain Al Clowers, and him and Brian from Promar will be making some great videos showing you how easy it is with these new Go Shrimp pumps to pump your own shrimp. So there's going to be a lot of fun stuff happening while I'm gone. So stay tuned. And Todd Manser, myself, we put together some great recordings for you to watch. So you're still going to get your 12 o'clock shows the next 2 weeks. They're going to come out. It's just not going to be live. I recorded them for the first time in our career. First time we've ever recorded podcast, and it's still going to be about as raw as it can be. It's just not going to be live. So just remember that. And when you're making your comments and I'm not answering them, that's why. So look at, gang, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I had a long conversation with Meta this morning. I have no idea why they're suppressing our views over there on Facebook, but they are. There's nothing me and Elliot can do about it. And I know you guys are not getting your notification saying that we're going live. They can't tell me a reason. I don't know what's going on over there at Facebook. I can't tell you why. You just got notified, Bob, finally, for the first time. Okay. Well, I talked to him for a very long time today, and I threatened to pull down all my ad money. So maybe that woke him up over there. I don't know. We'll see. We're gonna see how they act while I'm gone. And but what I went live for today, I talked to my good buddy Matt Ryan this morning. We were talking about lobster season. We were talking about multi-day permits. We were talking about a lot of things that I think are super important, and so did he. And he was like, "Can you talk about them on your show today?" Absolutely. We're talking about the things Matt Ryan and I talked about this morning. Gang, you can get multi-day permits, but you got to get them. If there's a new way to get them online, let me know, let Matt know, let all of the listeners and everybody watching know. But the way it is, and the way I believe it is you have to go to the facility in Seal Beach, or if there's an office in San Diego, you have to go to the office and you have to request a multi-day permit. It doesn't cost much, maybe $10. It used to cost $7 the last time I got one, but I wouldn't think it's much more than $10. You have to have your registration or your documentation for your vessel, and then you have to let them know you're going out for 2 or 3 days. Then if you have that declaration on the boat, you can have multi-day limits of fish. But if the permit says you're leaving on the 7th and you're coming back on the 9th, you cannot have more than your limit on the boat on the 7th. And then the 8th, you can start a new limit of fish and lobsters. And then on the 9th, you could start a new limit because you declared that you'd be out for 3 days. But that doesn't mean that on the 7th, you can have 3 days worth of limits. They're not dumb. They're going to know, and they're going to write that ticket. Even though you have the declaration, that declaration means on the 9th, you may have 3 days worth of limits of lobsters. You may have 3 days worth of limits of fish. But that doesn't mean on the 7th you can have 3 days of limits of fish because you're going to plan on being out there till the 9th. It doesn't work that way. You got to be cognizant of the law, and you got to understand. Fish and Wildlife have seen every scam tried to be performed by man. So do not think you're going to get one over on the Fish and Wildlife. And then understand, the Fish and Wildlife put their lives on the line every single day when they're going around out on the ocean, or if they're going out in the wilderness and they're going up to hunters, or they're going up to crazy fishermen on their boats. Be cool when they show up. Be cool. If you're doing something illegal, they're going to know right away by the way you act. But just try to be cool. Don't hit them with attitude right away. These guys and gals are doing their job, and they're doing it to the best of their ability. And you have to understand that what they're going through out there, you have no idea what boat they just came off of, what booger eater they just dealt with. So let's not, those of us that watch the show and those of us that are members of my website, your Saltwater Guide, let's act accordingly. Let's act like we've been there before. Let's act like we have respect for law enforcement. Because I'm telling you right now in the United States of America, people don't have respect for law enforcement, and that's ridiculous. That's absolutely lame, because we need this. We need them checking to see if people are getting more than they're allowed by law. Also, we need to understand that they're walking into a dangerous situation every time they crawl on someone else's boat. So make sure you understand that, and you don't do anything to cause any drama or stress to these officers' lives and brains. They're dealing with booger eaters every day. You can see it on YouTube. You can see it out in real life. So imagine being that guy or that gal that has to crawl on that boat and ask you some simple questions, and you hit them with massive attitude right away. Come on, really? Guys, they're just doing their job. And if we didn't have them, there would be people out there raping and pillaging that ocean full speed every day. So have that respect. Now let's get into some regulations that people are kind of confused about. Okay? The calico bass, sand bass, spotted bay bass thing. This is the way it is, gang. It says 5 by law. That means you can have 2 calicos, 2 sand bass, and 1 spotted bay bass if you chose to kill a spotted bay bass. I have no idea why you would even do that. That fish is strictly one of those recreational fish, fun to fish for in harbors and bays, but let them go. My gosh, just to get to be a size that you could keep them 14 inches, that poor spotted bay bass has gone through the most drama you could ever imagine, living in a harbor or in a bay where people throw massive amounts of garbage in there every single day, and these little fish are making it in that element. I can't imagine killing one. But those of you that feel you have to kill one, they count as your 5 fish limit. So you can only have 5 calicos. you could only have 5 sand bass, or you could only have 5 spotted bay bass, but that doesn't mean you can have 15 total. That means a combination of 5. So a couple of calicos, a couple of sandies, and a spottier. 5 calicos is perfect. If you're having trouble getting that 5th fish, maybe a sand bass to fill it in. But if the calicos are biting, you want calicos. That's the premier bass in Southern California. And I know a lot of you don't, I only like to throw them back. I don't care what you like. I love to eat them. KellyGirl loves to eat them. A lot of my friends love to eat them. And there's zillions of them. You're not going to save the planet by throwing back a calico bass. Even though you bass huggers, you think you are, you're not saving. Thank you, Renee. I know this guy, Renee, gave me this shirt. So thank you, Renee. I love this shirt. It always opens up conversations wherever KellyGirl and I are wearing these shirts. Everybody has a Dewey Weber story everywhere we go. So thank you again for these shirts, and we'd love to get some more if you ever get your hands on some more of them. But gang, calico bass, sand bass, spotted bay bass, they're not in any danger. They've never been overfished. There's no lack of them. There's lack of knowing how to catch them, but there's no lack of them. So don't ever think you're saving the planet by throwing a fish back that has never been commercially fished. It's under, not even close to anywhere needing to have any of these rule changes that they put onto us. And Dan, I hope you got my message. Kelly and I both meant that from the bottom of my heart. We love you and Kim, and I know what it's like. I know. So no matter how old they are, it matters. It means a lot to us. At the end of the day, we're just little boys, and all we want is our dads to tell us that they're proud of us. I don't care which one of you men are watching. That's all we want, is our dads to tell us how proud of us they are and how much they love us. And I know you and Kim spent a lot of time with your pops there at the end. So good for you. You can't replace that time. And I'm sorry for your loss. It's never a good thing, but you spent a ton of time, and you can't replace time. Gang, if you got family or loved ones, get as close as you can to them, because when it's over, it's over. There's no going back. It's over. I promise you, I know. And we are super blessed to have all the great friends that we've made throughout the years of having our website and having our business, Your Saltwater Guide, and getting to meet everybody. And I truly, in my heart, Dan and Kim, believe you guys are very close, personal. You're family to me and Kelly. We both believe that you're family to us. And Renee, all of our members that we talk to all the time, you guys are family, and you are, and you mean a lot to us, and it touches our hearts when things happen with you, good things, bad things, anything that happens. We're glad to be a part of the family, and we're glad to share the joy and the tragedy. We get to share it all together, and it means a ton to us. I want to show you something that's going to hit you right smack in the face, those of you that think about this all the time. This is Michael Folks. If you've never met him before, you've heard his voice for years. Him and I were talking. The History of Sport Fishing is one of the most unbelievable films I've ever seen in my life. I just can't talk about it enough. And I told Michael, I said, you know what I think you need to do to help promote this, because this is such a phenomenal film. I said, you need to let people know, because most of you have never even seen Michael, unless you came to the Fred Hall shows back in the day, or the PCS show, and you got to come up and you got to meet the man. But you know his voice. You know his velvety voice. You know how much he's meant to our industry for all these years on Inside Sport Fishing, and Fox Sports West is where we all found his show every day. We would watch his shows and watch the reruns. I want you to see this video that Michael's made for all of us. We're going to play it right now, and then we're going to talk about this film. I'm going to throw a QR code up for you, and you guys can check it out on your own. If you haven't seen this yet, I'm telling you, it's a life-changing movie. Anybody that fishes, I don't care how or where.
I'm Michael Folks. Thank you for taking a look at this free preview from the history of sport fishing. A lifetime in the making, this series showcases how the sport has woven itself into the very fabric of America's soul. Man has fished since the beginning of time. Through the ages, innovative men and women have transformed what was once an act of survival into the sport that it is today, enjoyed by millions throughout the world. I hope you enjoy this preview and will join us for the rest of this amazing journey as we celebrate.
I mean, we got the man, Michael Folks, made that personal video for you guys. And this is a little bit more of this movie. And Kelly says I've shown this too much, but I believe in my heart we need to show it again right now.
I remember the very first time I went fishing. I was 3 years old. I remember it like it was yesterday. I didn't know what my dad did. I just know he left for work every day. When he came home at night, he was covered in salt and scales, fish scales, and I didn't even know what a fish scale was, but he would tell me what they were. They were all over his shirt, his pants, his belt. I remember chewing on his belt when I was a baby because it had salt on it. And it felt good in my mouth when I was teething. I swear, I remember all this like it was yesterday. I know it's hard to think that you remember this stuff when you're a little kid, but I do. 3 years old, sitting on the counter, we're going on the afternoon trip with my dad. And my mom putting my shoes on while I'm sitting on the counter telling me we're going fishing with my dad. He was running the Some Fun off the pier, and the boat was tying up to the pier, and I was sitting on the rail with my mom holding me, and she's saying, "That's your dad." And him coming out on the back of the boat and him waving at me and saying,
well, that's about as real as it gets, gang. And this is all because of my good friend Michael Folks, and he's put together this phenomenal series, and we're going to have this for the rest of our lives. We're going to have this show, and we're going to be able to show it to our children. It's a 12-part documentary that really, really shows your life, Dan, my life, growing up in the industry, doing all the things we did, watching it go from where it was when we were children to where it is today, all the different things that the industry is about. You're going to get to see all about fly fishing. I had April Volke on the show on Friday. What a phenomenal guest. I just did a 2-hour podcast with her yesterday via Zoom in Australia. It was spectacular. This lady is incredible fly fishing human being, and she's like Miss Steelhead. She is an incredible lady, but there's so many great stories that go on in this docuseries, this 12-part docuseries. So I want you all to go check it out and see what it's all about. I'm going to show you the last part of it here in a second. That Michael, because I kind of cut him off. I didn't mean to. I don't know what happened. But here, watch the end.
Today I got my mind on eternity. Some kind of X got hold of me, and I'm wondering where the lions are. 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 Huge orange flying boat rises off the lake. 1,000-year-old petroglyphs doing a double take, pointing the finger at eternity. I'm sitting in the middle of this ecstasy. A young man marching, helmet shining in the sun, polished and precise like the brain behind the gun should be. They got me thinking about eternity, but some kind of ecstasy got a hold on me. And I'm wondering where the lions are. I'm wondering surface of the bay. One of these days we're gonna sail away, gonna sail into eternity. Some kind of just gotta hold on.
Coming under, coming under.
And I'm wondering where the lions are.
In its earliest years, big game fishing was limited to the passion of the wealthy. Considered a gentleman's sport due primarily to the financial challenges and limitations it presented to get involved. During the 1920s and 30s, following the Second World War and into the 1950s, the popularity of fishing continued to soar. Many factors played significant roles in the explosion of the sport. One of the most widespread influences was the publishing of exciting fishing articles and novels by authors like Ernest Hemingway, Kip Farrington, Joe Brooks, Philip Wiley, and Zane Grey. Their novels of big game fishing wove tales of the beauty of the sea, entwined could have even imagined or foreseen the multi-billion-dollar international industry the sport of fishing would evolve into today. For the first time in history, vacationers began planning entire family excursions around sport fishing. Fishing was sweeping the nation, and everyone, from kids with cane poles and bobbers, television and sports heroes, to presidents and kings, were fishing. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the preview. If you'd like to see more, please visit the History of Sport Fishing online community by clicking on the link below. If you have any questions or comments, please post them, and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can.
Gang, I want to let you know Michael's watching right now. If you have a comment, if you have anything to say, if you have anything that this brought back memories, there's a lot of superstars of the sport fishing industry. We have Frank Lopresti on there. We had Norm Kagawa. We had a lot of different people on that show, presidents. It's an incredible docuseries. I cannot talk about it enough because, gang, the unfortunate thing is the United States of America wants to abolish fishing. It's the craziest thing you can ever comprehend. And if you look, as you watch this docuseries, and if you start to understand, sport fishing is woven into our fabric of life. It is part of being an American. It is a super important part of being an American. Our forefathers fished. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin. They all fished. They were all outdoorsmen. They all went out and they fished. George, there's a great part in this docuseries. I can't remember if it's 5 or 6, where Michael tells a story about how George Washington never, ever left without a tackle bag. He always had a tackle bag in his sidearm, in his side pouch. He always was ready in case they found some fish that wanted to bite. He was always there. He was always ready. And as a matter of fact, the California, in our Bill of Rights, it states clearly, even though our politicians have forgotten, it states clearly that we will be allowed to fish in California. They are slowly taking those rights away. This is a absolutely. Winston Churchill came to Catalina to go fishing in the tuna club. You're absolutely right, Lori. And you're going to learn all about Catalina. Michael talks about, you guys just, a lot of you've never seen him before. You just got to see the man, Michael, folks. This is a lifetime. He put this movie together. He grabbed so many great old videos. He has so much cool stuff to show you. You're not going to believe the footage. Just like I was taken back when I don't know how he got the footage of my dad driving the Sun Fun up to the pier. I don't know where he got it. I'd never seen it before. But this is the most unbelievable docuseries for all of us that fish. I want you all to please go over there. The QR code's up here on the screen. Get this. It's better than any of that woke garbage you're watching on Netflix or any of those other streaming services. And I sure hope none of you are watching cable TV anymore, because it's brainwashing you. This is what life is all about. This is how I grew up. This is how Lori grew up. This is how Dan grew up. I've been on now for 30 minutes, Matt. I know they're suppressing my views. There's nothing I can do about it. All I'm going to do is just keep being me. But this is such an important part of our fabric, gang. This is such an important part, this fishing thing. And when you watch this docuseries, you're going to learn so much about fishing and the evolution of fishing, and the cane poles and the fishing reels with the leather strap. That was the drag system, and the knuckle buster reels and the reels and the spinning reels when they first came out, and how important they were to changing fishing for freshwater fish. And you're going to learn about the tarpon and what an important fish the tarpon is, and largemouth bass. Nobody in the beginning of sport fishing ever fished for black. They called them black bass. You're going to get to learn how the pure trout fishermen, how that changed and how it went into the largemouth bass fishing. And there's so many things that this movie is going to teach you about our industry. And I believe it's all of our industry. And I think we all need to do everything we can to keep it open, because I talk about it probably too much, but we're hanging on by a piece of dental floss in California to keep fishing open. And they're doing it very systematically. And they're doing it they're thought of this, they've well thought it out, and they're just taking it away, little tiny pieces at a time. And if you look up, compared to where we were, Lori, back in the 70s and 80s when we were growing up fishing with our dads, to think of where it is today, and that we're barely allowed to fish for anything anymore. There's hardly anything left, and that's how they're systematically doing this, gang. They're just taking it away so much. And then the price of fuel and the price of it going on a boat, the prices of everything. It's going to end up looking like it did back in the original days of when you were watching some of that video where the guys were fishing in a suit and tie. It's just absolutely amazing that it's pushing it to the point where only the elitists are going to be able to afford to fish. And that's how they're going to close it. That's how they're going to do it. It's makes me want to cry. It is just the most unbelievable thing. And so many people that could be talking about it, they're scared to talk about it, and they suck their thumb and they just sit there and they go, I can't believe this is happening. And they have the opportunity to talk about it, but they don't. There's nowhere that you're going to get the truth all the time except right here. This is the only place, I believe in my heart. Everybody else is terrified to talk and tell you the truth. I think that's got a lot to do with why I'm being suppressed on my views, but I just can't. I'm going to talk about it till I'm done, because fishing is such an important thing. I'm leaving tomorrow morning to go fish in Alaska. Thank God that's still open, but they've closed most of that. They've made it so you can't keep this fish, you can't keep that fish, you can't have this, you can't have one of those, you can't have one of these, you got to have one that's this size, that size, up at that. It's just absolutely incredible. And this is all what's happening across the United States of America. I don't know why, and I don't know who decided that we are the enemy fishermen, but you need to watch this history of sport fishing to understand how important it is. All right. So grab a hold of that QR code. I'm going to pull that down off the screen in just a second here. And then we're going to talk about what I wanted to kind of inform you with, what me and Matt Ryan were talking about this morning. So the calico bass, sand bass, spotted bay bass, the 5 fish limit. We went over that before I showed you all these cool clips from the show. But the thing is, gang, we're coming into lobster season. And I have so many discussions. I've been doing this lobster thing for a very long time. Well, here he goes. Going to tell us how bitching he is again. I was the very first person to ever take people that paid money to go lobster fishing in California. I started it in 2006 No one had ever had anybody pay money to go on a boat, a 6-pack charter boat or a 10-pack charter boat or anything, and pay money to go. But I did it out of necessity because me and my family needed to eat. My boys needed clothes, and I didn't know what to do. And we were going into the winter, and gas prices were $5 a gallon, and we didn't make any money that season fishing. And I was like, we got to start doing something. I don't know what to do. My boys suggested doing the hoop net thing. So we started doing the hoop net thing. My beautiful wife caught a beautiful giant, the world's largest lobster. Everything all happened, and everything set up for a phenomenal time. And it all came together. So now we're moving into lobster season, gang. And I want you all to understand that there are certain regulations and rules that are super important to follow and make sure that you don't break the law. And something that Matt and I were talking about is bonita for bait. Well, if you get a Fish and Wildlife to come on your boat, when you have a bunch of cut up bonita in a bucket that you're going to use for bait, that is a massive ticket. Now, I know you've been using them forever, and that'd be just like the guy on the 241 telling the police officer, I drive 100 miles an hour on this freeway every day. That's just what I do. That doesn't make it legal. That doesn't make it legal, man. Because you've been using bonita forever, that doesn't make it legal. Let me explain to you why using bonita is not legal, okay? The Fish and Wildlife rules and regulations say that a fish that is a possession limit and a size limit has to be identifiable and has to be able to be measured. So like when you fillet a fish, there is a certain size that fillet has to be by law, okay? So now if you take those bonita and you slice them up and you shove them in your bait tube, or you have them in the bucket, going to the island, and you chopped up a bunch of bonita and you're going to the island and you're going to put them in your hoop nets when you get there, that's a huge ticket. Do I think their Fish and Wildlife are going to write that ticket every time? No. Do I think they are going to write that ticket one day when they get on your boat? Absolutely. How do I know that? Because I got the ticket. Yep. Your saltwater guide got the ticket about, oh my God, Shayla, I don't know what, 7-8 years ago you were working with me? Yeah. I got that ticket on the boat for having bonita cut up that we were going to put in the hoop net. So those of you that are saying, oh, it's not a, well, I got the ticket. They took away my guide license for a year because of that. So you can tell me anything you want. It doesn't matter. I'm just telling you the law. You can do whatever you want, but you cannot use fish that have a size limit for bait. You just can't. All right? It's super important. There she is. Lori. There's Shayla. Lori's watching. Yeah, there's Shayla. She just came down, flew down today to take care of Marley and our kitties. Her and Eric are down here. Shayla is there. Yep, there she is. Lori,
hi guys.
Right there.
Nice to see you on here.
Right, fresh from the fish market. She's got her hat on. She's warming up some coffee right now. She may sit down here and talk with you guys for a minute. We're she's down here to babysit our animals. She flew down here just to take care of our animals before she goes absolutely crazy at John's Fish Market. They're going to be having fresh, spiny lobsters. John's Fish Market's a fun place to take your kids, gang, and go see the lobsters because Shayla has a bunch of them alive. Her father started this a long time ago. He had a live lobster tank where you could come in and pick out your live lobsters and take them home. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, this shirt, Lori, gets so many compliments, and my friend Renee gave it to me at the Bard Hall show last year and gave Kelly one too. And it's just, this Dewey Weber shirt just gets so many compliments. So many people always want to talk about it. But back to our lobster thing, gang. If it's a measurable fish, you can't use it for bait. I don't care if you've been doing it since you were born. You've been doing illegal stuff. All you got to do is have the lieutenant jump on your boat with a new recruit and they want to show them. And here's your cut up bonita in the bucket. Now you can use mackerel because there's not a size possession on mackerel. You can use sardines. You can use anchovies. You cannot use bonita. You can't use yellowtail. You can't use rockfish. You can't use calico bass, sand bass, spotted baby. You can't use those fish for bait. I'm just trying to be honest. It doesn't matter what you're going to tell me. You've been doing it for 100 years. That doesn't make it right. But it is what it is. So Shayla, what's going on at John's Fish Market in Dana Point Harbor?
Right now?
Yeah, what are you guys doing? Is there anybody in the harbor?
There is. There's a lot of people in the harbor.
You're one of the last restaurants left in the harbor, right?
Yeah, there's a couple. There's Win and Sea, Harp and Henry's, Coffee and Porkers will be there until the first quarter of the year. Proud Mary's, Turks, and me.
Yeah, it's
And
pretty
Gamel's,
cool.
like there's Gamel's in the Brig and the pizza, Dana Pizza, Harbor
Right,
Pizza.
but there's not much. But there's only one place to get fresh seafood, right?
Well, there's only one place in Orange County to get fresh seafood,
Right, they gotta turn
unprocessed
on the
meals.
air and melt
Yeah.
it.
Hi guys, I'm Shayla. He's melting, so he's gonna go get some air on.
And a lot of you guys always ask me, hey, Cap Dave, why don't you ever bring one of your deckhands on the show so they can tell the stories of what it's like to work for you? Well, Shayla had the opportunity to work for me for almost 3 years, fishing every single flipping day. We were fishing. Shayla and I learned how to fly the kite together. We caught the first kite fish I ever caught in my life was Shayla, and it was crazy. We got to see so much stuff.
Mine too.
Shayla and I had never seen foamers like we'd seen it. We had no cameras back then, so then Shayla brought out her big
I was
Camera.
losing my mind.
giant foamer. This hadn't happened before in Southern California in our lifetime, gang. This is back in 2015.
Well, we were probably, you guys, if it ever did, I mean, you guys were probably fishing something else, right? You weren't out there looking for the blue.
Well, we weren't very coherent back in those days,
No.
to be perfectly honest. Thank God I talk to your brother all the time about, God, don't you wish we had cameras? I'm all, thank God we didn't. We'd be
No,
in
thank God
prison.
we didn't.
We'd be in
Yeah,
prison
we'd
right
be
now.
that. It's bad enough the 23andMe and the DNA stuff, right?
So Shayla got to be my deckhand, but Shayla was a badass before that. She had just done how many seasons up in Alaska?
Well, there's 8 seasons a year, so I would do like 2 to 3 seasons. I think I did it for consistently 6 years, 7 years. 6
A long
7 years.
time.
Yeah,
What was Triton, right? Was the name of the season?
Triton Seafood Company, and it was all of the boats that the Deadliest Catch used for crab fishing. We used off season besides crab fishing. Crab fishing was just the first of the season. I think it was actually like sea season. So I would fish on those boats. I would tender on those boats throughout the year. He's gonna feed his cat. So little innuendo here is that I'm Shayla O'Keefe. Manser. So the shirt you're wearing,
Dewey Weber.
that's Jerry O'Keefe, makes those boards.
Yeah, exactly, Lori. No need to document it. That's for damn sure.
Oh, okay,
And
sorry.
No need to document it.
Or used to or something, I don't know.
What?
Something like that. Yeah.
So Shayla worked for me
It's
on the
hilarious.
boat,
I didn't know where you
and
got
we
it.
fished everything. We fished bass, barracuda, bonita, yellowtail, tuna. Calico bass was like my thing. I would make the people catch calico bass limits before I take them out fishing for tuna. And we would go to San Clemente Island every day and do that, and then go tuna fishing. And then we would fish lobsters in the winter time. And I'll tell you what, I had a lot of deckhands, but I was telling Shayla today at we were having lunch downtown. It was a pleasure to have her on the boat, because when I was running that Wild and Sack, I had to do all the shopping, I had to do all the bedding, I had to do all the laundry, I had to do all the cooking, I had to do all that stuff. And then when Shayla came along, she knew how to make a bed, because I'll tell you what, the boys that worked for me, they didn't even know how to make a bed. I remember giving Chase and Cameron the bedding for all 3 bedrooms. And I said, here, go make the beds. And never in my wildest imagination did I think they didn't know how to put a fitted mat sheet on. And they came back like 10 minutes. We have 3 master beds plus a bunch of bunks. And they came back like not even 10 minutes later, and they're all, okay, what do you want us to do now? And I'm like, what? Come here.
Those are the hardest beds to make, or bunks. Oh.
And so when Shayla was there, she would do the shopping for me, and she would do the bed making, which was a huge thing because we rolled day in and day out, and our beds had 1,000 thread count sheets. Yeah. We were a luxury yacht, but we were out there doing some damage.
You have to fold the throw blankets right too.
The throw-up blankets?
The throw-up blankets. You have to roll them right so they look right. You know?
Yeah, everything looked perfect on the boat whenever she was there.
Yeah, it's easy to be of service for me.
Oh yeah, absolutely, Lori. I kind of like to yell, huh?
I like that you yell.
I'm old school, so that's how we learned back when I was a young man.
This is okay. I mean, you remember you were outside for the most of your life. So
that's why I'm so loud today, because I still believe I'm outside. But yeah, Lori's being honest. I got yelled at by Mike Thompson growing up. That's who taught me how to treat people. You got yelled at. If you didn't want to get yelled at anymore, you quit doing dumb stuff. Nowadays, if you yelled at a deckhand, they would sit down and suck their thumb and go on their phone and tell their mom how mean you are to them. So we can't do that anymore. That's why I could never run sport boats today. I could never do that because I don't have a filter. But let's talk a little bit about this lobster season coming up and what's going on. How does John's Fish Market, how do you guys get all those lobsters?
Who or just how?
How?
Okay. So the local commercial fishermen that fish right out in our waters in our big black backyard go out and they fish them, and then they bring them in and we put them in our tank all in the same day.
And what do you think local lobster is going to sell for this year?
Too much.
A lot, right?
Yeah.
Because you know why, gang?
No, I'd like to know why.
Because China wants them all.
Right, and
so China wants all of our lobsters because our lobsters are the very best lobsters in the world. The Pacific California spiny lobster is the most sought after lobster in the world. And I know that we got a lot of people watching on the East Coast. 3/4 of my audience, you wouldn't believe it, is East Coast. And I know you guys all think you're mud bugs with the claws are the greatest lobster in the world. Well, all I know is ours in China sell for over $100 a pound, and yours in China sell for about $1.25 a pound. So you can believe that they're the best, but money talks and baloney walks. Yeah. And Shayla will have people lined up that know what quality lobster tastes like. The people of Orange County know where to go. They know to come down to John's Fish Market, and you're going to get to see the California Pacific spiny lobster, and it is the most sought after lobster in the world. But China, I had Tommy Gomes on the show. I had Reed the fishmonger. I've had Luke McFadden. These are big fishmonger people. I've had Shayla on 3 times. I'm telling you what, our seafood in America is the most sought after seafood in the world. It's the best seafood. It's the most sustainably caught seafood. So the reason why we don't buy our own seafood in America is because you won't buy it. When you go to John's Fish Market and you see the fish that Shayla has in the case, you look at it and you go, I saw the same fish at the big box. I can't say the name because I'll get sued. At the big box store, and it was like $4 a pound. What are you doing charging $25 a pound? Because the big box store is selling fish that did not come from America.
Right, or it has preservatives on it to keep it into a package. You know, if it says like wild caught Alaskan, you know, stuff like that and everything. You have to figure how long does the fish last? Like, we don't have any fish on the floor over like a day and a half, 2 days at the max. And those are the bigger fish, you know, that you can have for a few days. And so those, you figure, how are they staying in a package in plastic? You read the little tiny fine line. They're airbrushed or brushed with, they might be raw, they might be fresh, they might be wild, but they have to have, mandated by law, if packaged, they have to have a preservative spray on it. So, you know, you have that, you don't know what that is, you know, I mean, and sometimes that might be okay, you know, and then also a lot of the time it's farmed, so. But there's a lot of stuff I can say about that.
But the number one reason is because the United States has to maintain sustainable fisheries, which no other country in the world does. So that puts our seafood up at a higher level. Our seafood's the best in the world, okay? There's no way around it. There's no way to, but it's the most expensive seafood in the world. And the fishermen, they're going to give Shayla X amount, but the majority of their fish and their lobsters are going straight on an airplane to China. So,
and that fight's getting harder.
And so what happens is, gang, if you don't understand, when you go to the fish market and you see a California spiny lobster, let's say Shayla, let's just use a number. Shayla's buying it from the fisherman. Let's say you're buying it from Roger. Shayla buys it from Roger for $25 a pound. Well, she can't sell it to you for $25 a pound. She gave it to Roger for $25 a pound. Shayla has a building in Dana Point, California. The rent is incredible. So you start to look at that and you go, okay. And then she has employees. Then she has electricity and all the other things that you have. She has to make a profit. So an average lobster, legal lobster, weighs 1.25 pounds. So let's say she paid $25 a pound. So that lobster cost her $38. All right. So she's got to turn around and sell it to you for at least 45, if not 50. It's just the way it is, gang. And then China's going to give Shayla, if she ships them over there, they're going to give her $75 a pound. But she wants to make sure you have fresh seafood to eat that's caught locally. There's not a lot of fish markets left because they can't afford to be
They can't afford
open.
to do it. So the formula that was handed down to me from straight out of my dad's mouth is fair market. You only mark it up what you need to mark it up, and you don't mark up people's pockets. So, like, it's really difficult to kind of figure out what products you can kind of just barely get away with that margin of, you know, extra that you need. And then there's some other ones that, you know, in the fair market game that, you know, is costing you a lot less, and that's where you can kind of bring it up a little bit. But there's not a lot of fair markets going on. And honestly, being in this business the last couple of years, it's been really a moral challenge to like what I can do with my prices. So it sucks, but unfortunately this year we're probably not going to have the plates on the menu for the lobsters, because I already lost a lot of money off of that last year. Now, I didn't lose money, but I really didn't make any money. And if you really look at the effort and the work that's put into making a lobster plate, it's, you know, a lot of labor, a lot more than you think. And so, you know, and you lose product and stuff, but yeah, it was just, it might be something that we aren't going to be able to offer this year is the automatic plates on the menu. I think last year, the highest that I went up, because I really did not want to go over $50 for a lobster plate with 2 sides. So like this year, we're going to probably just make it where you just pick out your lobster and you pay for your lobster, and then you pay for your sides. And so, you know, and with that, you know, you're going to be paying for your plate and your butter and everything else and the cost of all of that stuff. So then that's fair to you guys, and then that's fair to us, because if I try to go and get a bunch of the same size lobsters and sell them on a plate and put them on the menu, I'm just going to lose too much money and I'm going to lose ground.
And most restaurants are selling lobsters that are not spiny lobsters.
No, they're not.
They're not. They all get involved in it in the beginning of the season, and they're telling you, oh, we got fresh spiny lobster. They don't. But then again, they're telling you they have Chilean sea bass, which there's no such animal, and that's called a Patagonian toothfish. And there's so much. This is the most weirdest. This seafood industry is the weirdest regulated industry because they can lie full speed and get nothing done to them. They can lie to you full speed. But what Shayla can't lie to you about is she got the live lobsters right there in the tank. Those are them. Here's the weird thing though, gang. If that lobster dies, she has to throw it away. She can't. If it dies full, the body's full and the tail's in it, and it dies in the tank, that's trash. But she paid for it already, so she did lose money. And those employees that are cooking the lobsters and putting the plates together, it's a
And it's
no-win
the same with
situation.
all of our fish in the case. Like you could come down at 7:30 in the morning and peep your head and you'll see these guys cutting the fish that they're putting in the case every single day. This is fish that was just barely dead, local, or from up the coast because I go to Santa Ana and I pick up fish from Alaska and Washington and Oregon. And it's fresh, like right there. Like that's it. You know, you need some skin for your dog food. Like it's fresh seafood every single day, fresh off the bone, live. We don't freeze anything. There's some things we freeze. We have some scallops that are frozen. You know, we have like the Alaskan cod that I get in fillets that we freeze for the fish and chips. You know, of course we don't cut fresh cod every day. We don't have room for that. I wish I could. But there is other fresh cod and there is other halibuts and other fishes that we use in our fish and chips. But you know, the mainstay of stuff is all just fresh fish. Like you don't get that anywhere anymore unless you're out of the country. Honestly, I don't even know if I can get it down here in Mexico right now. I mean, unless I go fishing.
right.
So,
But the whole thing again is what Shayla is trying to tell you guys is she's selling U.S. caught seafood, and she's selling it, but she has a big turnover, a big volume. There's a lot of people in Orange County that come down to the fish market, so she has to freeze it. If somebody's telling you they don't freeze their fish, they're lying, because they do. Unless you go to the fish market, you watch it get unloaded, you watch them fillet it, and you buy that piece of meat right there. But I've had so many people go, yeah, I got fresh food at the box store. No, you didn't. That is the farthest away from fresh you're ever going to get.
yes, it is.
That did. If you're buying it at one of the big box stores, it is not even anywhere near fresh.
Yeah.
And if, like Tommy Gomes says, if it has more frequent flyer miles than you do, don't buy it. If it's coming from a foreign country, that's not good fish. And here's Tommy Gomes' favorite saying is, good fish isn't cheap and cheap fish isn't good.
No. And I freeze fish. Like I'll see something will come in, like if there's a good wahoo that comes in, and I'll take a big piece of it and I'll vacuum seal it and I'll stick it in my freezer. I mean, I'm not afraid to eat fresh frozen fish. The problem is getting it from other places. They're going to be mandated to have a certain preservative or salt or a brine on it that's going to affect your fish.
Affect the way it
health.
tastes, affect everything.
It affects everything.
So if you haven't, we're talking about John's Fish Market, but Tommy Gomes' Tunaville Market, for those of you who live in San Diego, and it's a 3-hour drive up to Shayla in the middle of the day to go get some fresh fish. Go to Tommy Gomes'. Go to your local fish market. Stop buying your fish from the big box stores and just go taste the difference. Now, I know we can't afford to eat it every day because it's super expensive.
But you could do like my daughter does. I mean, she lives down in Vista. She lives 45 minutes from me. So she'll come up to the fish market and she'll get a couple pieces of all different kinds of fish. And then she'll go down and she'll wrap it really nice and tightly and she'll put it in her freezer. You'd rather eat that on a night, than going down and getting it from the grocery store. Like totally, absolutely. On this note, really quick, I just want to throw out there a little bit of something that we are bringing in. Also, we're going to not totally get rid of seed oils, but we're bringing in tallow oil. For anybody that really knows what that means or if they care about that, we're going to bring in some non-seed oils to deep fry and to cook our fish in. So that's up and coming for this fall. So I just wanted to throw that little piece in there.
My mouth is watering just thinking about it.
Do you remember back in the day when your moms used to cook in Crisco?
Yes.
Can you believe that that's healthier than what we've been doing for the last 3 decades?
Absolutely.
Let's bring it back.
I believe it wholeheartedly in my heart. Look at us. I'm 63 years old. I'm still here because I don't eat all the garbage that they're putting in the food today. But I have to eat it now. But yeah, go down. Just go try it. Don't take my word for it. Don't take Shayla's. Go down there and just try it. Because most of you get your fish from the big box stores, and it's not sustainably caught. which is really sad because Shayla, you know, they slap that on the package because they're allowed to lie. The industry is allowed to lie to you. So they slap that on there and you're like, oh, this is sustainably caught. Turn the bag over and look at where it came from. Product of China, product of Thailand, product of Indonesia, product of garbage land, whatever. It's not good fish. It's cheap. Fish is not good, and
how
good
long
fish
do you
is not
think it
cheap.
takes for fish to come over from China?
And how much ice do you think
Yeah.
they put on it on the boat? You know, when you guys go down to John's Fish Market, there's a pretty good chance if you're down there having lunch or something, you're going to get to see Shayla and her crew grabbing fish off of one of the boats that come in right there by where the Catalina Express parks.
Yep.
And they wheel it right up there in the fish market, and you're sitting there eating your fish, watching. You're like, doesn't get any fresher than this.
It doesn't. And you know, you can go back on our older Instagrams or whatever and see a lot of that right now. We're not bringing in a lot of stuff through that back door or that front door like we were. It was so much fun when we were, though, but we can't really drag fish juice across the courtyard anymore. But yeah, it's really fun. So right now is a really good time of year to really kind of see what they're bringing in. Just walk around the docks over there by the fish market and like down by Turks and Dana Wharf and stuff, and watch them come in, you know, in the middle of the afternoon. And you know, somewhere around like 3 or 4 is usually a good time. You're going to see stuff being brought up the dock, and more than likely, most of it's coming to me. And then also with the lobster season coming up, that's going to be really fun. So I don't want everybody to be too scared of the prices, because the whole experience down there at the fish market, and this isn't anything to do with me. It's just the way it is.
No,
this is what excites me. This is what makes me get up in the morning. Is the experience that you get. If you go in and you pick out your lobster, or if you have us pick it out, if you don't want to do that, you know, or that you just bring the kids and you're, you know, eating tallow fish and chips, you know, who knows, whatever you want to do, whatever floats your boat, but bringing the kids in there, you know, the Christmas lights are coming soon. It like feeds into that whole vibe and everything. And you just come down there and then, you know, and just walk around, and that's just, you know, it's not going to be there forever. So make sure you know, do come down and give us a hello. And, you know, we're going to switch it up a little bit this year with the dining room and stuff. And we're going to turn that into some other stuff. But, you know, as far as like the lobsters go and everything, you have to remember too, that 2 people can enjoy one regular sized lobster. Okay. So if we're talking, would you say $55 for a lobster? You know, $60 for a regular size lobster, that is enough lobster tail for 2. I mean, unless you're me, where you have to eat 3 and get yourself sick. But, you know, if you're eating it with a salad or whatever, you know, you guys can enjoy a nice half of a lobster each. It's the same thing with king crab legs. Like, people think like, oh my God, they're $55 a pound. Yeah, but like you get like 2, sometimes 3 in a pound. Like, do you need to eat 3 crab legs that are this big? No, you don't. So
you and I do.
I do, but
we've been
it's a
spoiled
good thing. Yeah, and you know, and then also when the lobster season comes in, the prices of like I see that.
They're the outside
Of the swordfish and the tuna go down a little bit too. So there's always that to remember. Hi guys. They've got a little zoo here. Yeah, it's gonna be a good season. I mean, it's gonna be a little bit different, but that's the name of the game. Like, I'm completely transformable. Like, you know, whatever comes next, because I'm in the fishing industry. Like, you never know what you're gonna catch all the time. You never know what you're gonna get. It's unpredictable. It's the same thing with John's Fish Market. You know, we don't know what we're gonna get. It's unpredictable, and you gotta roll with it. Sometimes we have stuff, sometimes we don't. A lot of people want shark right now. You know, I got a shark. I got one shark. I didn't like it, and I had to throw it away, and I had to pay for it because I wasn't going to give it to you guys. You know, and everybody's like, "Oh, I only want shark." And I'm like, you know what? I don't have anybody fishing a good shark right now, and it's not something I really care to like to put out there for you guys. Everybody wants the rockfish. You know, it's not that easy to be processing rockfish. So
exactly, Tim. It is the place we all ate at Don Hansen Day. Shayla put out a hell of a spread for all of us. That was such a fun day.
that was easy and fun. That was nice.
That was a fun day.
Mm-hmm.
It was, and that's where we all ate at. And we got a great funny story. You want to hear a really funny story? Shayla and I fishing together. We talked about it at lunch today. So we're fishing at Catalina Island. This is fun for me, not so much for her, but we were fishing at Catalina Island one day on a charter, and Shayla's up in the bridge with me, and we have this beautiful 65 Hatteras we were running, and it had this big deck on the back, and then it had a ladder that went up to the tower. And
Are you playing with the big suit?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're bad.
I have to, because somebody just asked, you guys got any good stories of when you were fishing? This is the most.
First of all, I want to keep in mind, he said they don't sting.
Well, if you've been to Catalina, the yellow jackets are thicker than she. So I learned a long time ago, because I have always had passengers and people that were afraid. I would tell them, don't worry, they're just yellow flies. They don't sting.
I believed him.
'Cause I don't
because
want-
he's like my big brother.
Well, I don't
and
want you
wouldn't
to
believe
freak
him.
out.
I would have freaked out, and I wouldn't have lied to the customers.
So Shayla and I are up in the bridge. We're cruising and we're talking. And Shayla puts her hand on, was it your hand?
It was right here
Yeah.
on the pole to go
railing.
down to go down the stairs.
And the bee stung her right there in her hand.
Over and over. Because then not only do they sting, but they don't lose their stinger like a honeybee. They keep their stinger and they do it again. They're like a wasp, and again and again and again and again. And I'm allergic.
And I didn't know she was allergic. And all of a sudden, gang, she went from this to like, I'm going to die. And I was like, what? And she's like, I'm going into anaphylactic shock. And I'm like, you're doing what? I go, get down the goddamn ladder. Get down the ladder. I'm all, Mike, she's going into anaphylactic shock. And he's like, what? And so it's me and Mike and Shayla in a charter. And she's going down. She's going down. She can't breathe. Everything's closing up. Her throat's closing up on her. She's going down. I called the Catalina Harbor Patrol. I called the Catalina Fire. We come into Avalon on the boat doing 20 knots. She's dying. I come into the Catalina Express dock. I come in there at 20 knots. I spin the boat around. The ambulance is there. The paramedics are there. As I swing the boat around, we don't even have time to tie it up. Paramedics are on the boat. They hit her with the EpiPen, and they're trying to get her off the boat, and the EpiPen ain't working because she got stung so many times. The EpiPen ain't working.
That's what I first remember. So I don't remember anything once I got down the ladder or going down the ladder, and then them hitting me the second time with the EpiPen.
And it ain't coming. She ain't coming. She ain't coming around. What'd they hit you with? 4?
They hit me with 3, and then the fourth one, and the steroids every time too. So it's the EpiPen, the steroid. No. Okay. Then on the stretcher, EpiPen, steroid. No. Okay. Up the dock, EpiPen, steroid. No. And then they're pumping me and they're pumping me and they're pumping me. Then they get me into the ambulance. The guy looks over. He goes like, "We're going to give you one more shot of Epi and one more shot of steroids, and then we're going to give you a shot, and you're going to be awake, and you won't be able to move. We just want to warn you. We have to do this now because your throat is closing up and you can't breathe, and we have to put a tube in your throat." And I'm just like, okay. And then they gave me the shot, all 3 shots, and then I couldn't move. And then all of a sudden I hear, she's breathing. She's back. She's breathing. So I had to be like paralyzed, scared to death, but okay. I was like, oh my God.
I had a charter on the boat, and I had to leave Shayla there. I had to leave and drive away with Shayla on the dock, and I'm calling my sister, I'm calling her brother, I'm calling everybody, telling them Shayla's on her way to the hospital in Avalon. I have a charter. I have to take my people home. They got to get home. Shayla worked for my family down at Dana Wharf when she first came back to the industry, because she wasn't in the industry
20 years.
And she came back to the industry, and my sister gave her a job working for the Catalina Express. So she had put thousands of people on the Catalina Express, but one thing she had never done is rode the Catalina Express. So I'm driving the boat home, and I'm just so worried. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm so worried about Shayla. I can't think of anything else. And I'm calling her phone. Finally, she answers me, and I'm all, "What's going on? What are you doing?" She goes, "I'm having an ice cream. I'm sitting here at Olaf's having an ice cream."
Because then you're so jacked up from all that steroid, too. I don't know. I probably didn't sleep for days.
Oh, my gosh. And then she got to ride the Catalina Express
Yes,
home.
I did.
crazy.
That was my first time.
That's a pretty crazy story, you guys. That was one of the scariest times as a captain. I've had some gnarly things happen, but when you're about to lose one of your best friends and then a crew member on top of it, and then your really best friend in the whole world told you a long time ago, don't even think about touching her and don't ever hurt her. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm going to kill Todd's sister. Holy Nikes, right? Batman?
Yeah. Holy
Oh
Nikes,
my gosh.
Batman.
So that was a pretty amazing story. But I think another really cool story was the first time that Shayla ever tuna fished with me. There was one kelp patty that everybody knew about, but no one knew where it had drifted to. And I found the thing in a pair of binoculars, and Shayla and I, there was no one else. It was just me and you. And we had the big African guy. Oh my gosh, I can't remember. We had him and 5 of his friends on the boat. And back in those days, we had 35 rods on the boat, and I had Shayla put a hook on every one of them. And she was like, "What are we doing?" And I go, "You'll see." And we pull up to this kelp patty, and it is.
Oh yeah,
it
was the first, like in the beginning.
It is as
that
fast.
Was my favorite fishing.
As fast as you can imagine, yellowfin tuna fishing. As fast as you can imagine, and I'm just standing in the corner. Shayla's handing me a rod. I'm casting a bait out. I'm hooking a tuna. I'm handing it to the passenger. Shayla hands me another rod. I throw it out. I hook another. We got 6 going, and as we're gaffing, I'm throwing them on the boat. Break the hook off. Hand it to Shayla. She's tying hooks as fast as she can. And we literally put 60 tuna on the boat in probably 2 hours.
Those are some of my favorite pictures.
And
yeah,
that was her introduction to tuna fishing with me. Yeah. And then she was like, okay, now I see why we have 35 rods.
Isn't that when I went back to Alaska, and then that's when I made sure that I was back for the next tuna season? Yeah.
Then you told me I'm going to Alaska. I'm like, what? And then you're like, yeah, I'm going to Alaska, but I'll be back.
Yeah.
I'll be back. I'm not going to do the lobster season with you, but I'll be back for the tuna season.
Yeah. That was, I was definitely hooked.
A lot of my deckhands didn't understand the whole concept of having 35 rods fully rigged so that whenever we found anything, we absolutely had, and it doesn't even sound real, but it's fucking,
there's a 2-part to that.
Right?
And that's when I realized that your dad and my dad were really cool, when I heard your stories about how your dad would sit on the corner like that and bait those yellowfins, and that you've been doing this since you were a kid. And I was just like, because girls were allowed to, girls with the girls, boys with boys. So like I would hear these fishing stories, but really all I was trying to do is get away with shit behind them while they're all telling the stories and shit. It's like I never was involved in the stories, but that was the first time that like I realized that what you guys experienced growing up was probably the most exciting thing to me. Like, and I've chased that ever since.
And it was an incredible thing to show Shayla and to be a part of it, right? Because literally, and she's sitting here, so it's not a makeup story. We literally would do this every single day.
It was insane. And there's a beat to it, like that beat to it, because it's not just about the hooks and how many rods you have on there. It's the bait, definitely the bait, and how you throw the bait, and how you get the bait, and where you throw the bait. And like that to me was like the most beautiful symphony I've ever seen in my life. And then you would micromanage every single customer that had their line twisted up. Like, I mean, I know you guys, a lot of you fishermen, like you get a lot of that experience and everything, okay? But I didn't in the beginning. It's in my blood, but like I didn't have those experiences until later. And then I'm in love, and I'm still in love. And yeah. So
every single fish that we hooked, I don't care what it was, I took it personal, and I figured if it bit our line, it needed to get on our boat. There was a reason why it bit our line. So like she said, I micromanaged every single person. And Kelly, it used to
in a good way.
It used to blow Kelly's mind when I would yell at millionaires. She would go, "You're yelling at them." I go, "Yeah, but they want to catch that fish. They don't,
your mouth.
They don't care.
They're paying you to catch the fish. You have to help them catch the fish."
And one day when those foamers were as thick as they could be, and they were literally everywhere, and I'd be in the gyro stabilizing binoculars. I go, "I got another spot over here," and we would go out. Shayla, I keep calling you Kelly. Shayla and I and Kenny we would go out and catch mackerel, and we'd have 150, 200 mackerel in the bait tank before we'd go out tuna fishing, because the bluefin would annihilate a mackerel, and we would throw them out on 80-pound or 100-pound, and we were sliding into schools 100-pounders all day long. And finally, I told Shayla, I said, okay. She said, what? I go, everyone's done. They don't want to fish anymore. They're sleeping. I said, you're going to get to catch one. You can do it all. You're going to get to do it all. I'll cast the mackerel out because it's an art.
It is.
And then as soon as it hits the water, I'm handing you the rod and you're going to hook it. She put the harness on, and Kenny and I just sat back and watched, and she kicked that fish's butt. Oh my God. And it was 187 pounds, and she put the wood to it.
That was a whole nother level that my life came alive. Yeah, that was a whole nother level.
And then you got to do the trip with Ralphie and Todd down to Bag Bay.
Where I caught I think it ended up being like 22 different types of fish.
No, I
For
would
my
never
first
yell bad
time.
advice, but I did yell a lot.
What is this? What?
She goes, I don't think Dave ever yelled bad advice. But Lori and Shayla are members of the Dana Wharf Lady Anglers. And back in the day when I ran the boats for my family, the lady anglers absolutely loved to fish with me because I'm a super intense human being, and I love to catch fish, and I love to catch fish with my family.
Lori used to babysit me.
Yeah, I know. You just figured out who Lori
I can't
is?
see anything.
Oh,
I don't want to wear
okay.
my ugly glasses.
All right. Yeah, that's Lori.
Minoski.
Yeah, Ballinger.
Bellinger.
That's who we know you as. I
We
know
know
you
who
got
you
married,
are.
you changed
We
your
know
last
who you
name,
are.
but
So
you'll
Lori
always be
knows.
Lori
I mean, I
Ballinger
grew up
to
with
us.
these guys doing this stuff, but then growing up, I never really I was never really out there. I didn't get it, So then when I came back, and I don't know if many people really ever find out what they're really supposed to be doing, and they want to be doing it, but I really can't bitch and complain ever in life because I'm doing everything in the industry that I want to be in. Everything that I'm doing right now, everything that I've done to get to where I am right now is exactly where I'm supposed to be, and is worth working really hard for. I thought I wanted to be a boat captain and retire as a boat captain until I found out how hard that is. I think he traumatized me a little bit because he's such a good captain. But no, this isn't that isn't really a career that you should be going into your later lives. Your poor bones. My brother's broken.
Well, that's because I ran him over.
Probably.
No, I did. I ran him over. We talked about it the other day on the show.
Oh, really?
But my buddy Matt Ryan wants to know, when you worked for me, was there ever a time where I pissed you off?
Stressed me out, maybe. How can you be mad at this guy? Honestly,
Kelly, tell everybody how you can be mad.
No, I don't have to sleep with him, live with him, or go home with him. So just remember that, you guys. When you're with Dave Hansen, you don't have to sleep with him, live with him, or go home with him, and you're not dependent upon him. Okay, so that's a totally different story. But you have to remember that, this is, and then with my brother going to Mexico, that's the closest to everything I ever wanted in my life that I never could get. That was I always wanted to be the kid on the boat, but wasn't allowed. I was a girl, and then once I got boobs, I wasn't even allowed in the harbor. It was everything I could dream of to be around it. So the only thing I think that really never made me really mad at you ever. I don't know. I can't say that honestly. Probably stressed out. But the only reason why is because once you get on a boat with Dave that he might be a lot to handle, verbally, okay, and spastically wise, but everything that he does and everything that he does by nature, it's just by nature. Okay, now the yelling and the spastic and all of that stuff can be managed, probably should be, or medicated, but we don't do that. So, but everything that he does systematically is out of safety and effectiveness. So if once Dave, you're going to follow him no matter what, whether it pisses you off or not, you're choosing to be there, so whatever he told me to do. I don't know if I ever really got mad at you. Let's see. I don't know. I don't think so. I know one time I did get mad at you. One time I did get mad at you, but I think I was more mad at myself when I had to go. We were getting up at 3:30 in the morning and
Every day.
every day.
And we would get in at
No,
midnight.
I don't think there's really ever any time that I.
Because I don't have
Yeah.
an off switch. So
No. I don't
we
think
would
I've
get in at midnight and we'd have to go back out at 4 o'clock in the morning. So there were many days where we just fell asleep wherever we were setting, and then we just got up and did it all again. And Shayla would have to run to the grocery store at midnight and get food for the next trip. But I don't have an off switch, so when she'd get back, it was hit her with 500 things that I need to have done right fucking now. And I'm doing 500 things at the same time, and so
I think that's what made this season better too, is because you had that was a good couple years, those seasons, because you didn't have to do all that petty little stuff. Your crew is helping you, and you don't have to do all that petty little stuff. You can get better fishing, communications going on. You can get better, making sure that the boat's in better shape. You can get other things done because you're not going to stop. Look at this guy. He's not going to stop.
I don't have an off switch. I
Him
don't have
and
to
my brother, they
slow
don't have
down.
an off like I'm trying to figure out if I'm supposed to have an off shift, or an off switch. I don't know, but no, there's no off shift. Off switch.
Off
here.
switch, yeah.
No.
But we operated at a very high intense level all the time because
And then we caffeinate it.
people fished with me for one reason, because of
The
my
results.
spasness and
Yeah.
my ability to be able to put together the puzzle and catch fish for the people. Do you remember any days where we sucked?
I know there was days that people were a little bit confused by the time they got off the boat, but that's about it.
They would walk out of the boat and go, what just happened?
I
What
have
just
seen
happened?
Dave not give people the time to get seasick. Like literally, you did not give this guy the time. You yelled at this guy, so he was so confused at your yelling that he was like, obviously had nobody like that in his life. So this man is like trying to go and tuck away somewhere, and he could tell that he's getting sick, and so he just got this guy and yelled at him to do this and yelled at him to do that, and he ended up not getting. I mean, I watched that with my own eyes. So like that kind of stuff. There's a point when the yelling comes in handy because it can shock them into like listening to him. So it works out. It works out. Yeah.
We're gonna finish with this one. One last. Do you have one good story about me yelling at people?
Okay. Okay.
Too many, she can't even remember.
I think once they realize that they're stuck on the boat with him anyways, and that they paid money for this, like there comes a time where they come to grips with themselves. I don't know if there's really ever been a time that he was really pissed off, maybe when you were scared, but that was because didn't have anything to do with fishing. It had to do with some substance problems. And he was really pissed off about it. And, but what are you going to do at that point? But try to get rid of the situation. So, really made anybody mad? No, I don't know. I don't, I don't know. I'm a special case. I just don't know if you could ever, I could be mad at him, but like, I also can go to my own house. I can also leave.
Right.
But no, I don't think anybody's ever been really mad at you except for like if they were too drunk or like, and they had to pass out. I don't know. No, you never really pissed people off. You tell me one.
Some of my boy deckhands, Mike, Chase, Max, those guys, there were times where I remember Mike, I had to snap him out of it a couple times. He was going to kill me because I'm like, hey, it's me. Calm down. Because a lot of people don't like to yell at. I treated Shayla pretty much like the person that she is. I didn't yell at Shayla like I yelled at the boys, like I yelled at the guys.
You had to sometimes.
I told you what I thought, but there wasn't a lot of yelling. But Lori, thank you very, very much. I remember the lady anglers trips were like some of my funnest times running boats, but I always, when I ran the boat, I approached it like I was going fishing. I love to fish. That's the difference between me and a lot of other captains that are burnt out, and you read their posts on social media and stuff. I absolutely love fishing.
And you can tell that.
I love it more than you can even imagine. I have no give up in me. When I take you out fishing for the day, I guarantee you I'm going to do everything I can to catch fish because I want to catch them more than you guys do. I really, really enjoy getting down there on the deck and casting the bait out and hooking a fish. I do have one more little story, and then we'll get done with this because we're all going to dinner to celebrate Eric. I remember Shayla being so frustrated because she had fished for so long, and she's like, "Why can't I cast? I cast fine when I cast fine when I'm on the Lady Anglers trip. I cast fine when I go out with the girls. I cast fine." And I go, "Yeah, I know, but you don't cast 75 times in a minute. We're casting 75 times in a minute. I'm casting 75 baits."
I never used a spinning rod before fishing with you. Never. And if I did, like out in Alaska, when there was when we would have while we're anchored waiting for more fish to come in, they would, like, some people would bring some spinning rods on the boat because there's only 5 of us for 3 to 5 months, and they would bring spinning reels, because they're from like the lake or somewhere, and so I would turn it upside down and I would fish with it that way because I knew no difference, because the only reels I ever got to use growing up was if I went into Dana War Sports Fishing and I went over to the reel stand or over to the rental rod wash station or whatever, and washed some rental rods and then did the rental rods, hooked them and geared them or whatever, and that was it. And they were always standard. What do you call those? I don't even know. I mean, they were all standard.
Conventional.
Yeah.
Conventional.
So conventional. Thank you. And then I think it was like, was it the yellowfin trip, or I don't know, the first or second trip?
No, it was further
which,
on down the line. We were fishing Clemente for yellows, and the thing with me when you work for me is you don't get to fish. It's not a fishing job. But every once in a while,
that's when I got pissed off at you. Turn the handle, Randall. Fucking turn the handle.
Every once in a while, I would let one of my crew members fish, and I would do a game with them where, Shayla, you get one bait, and then Mike, you get one bait. You guys get to try a bait, and if you don't hook the fish on the bait, then you're done, and the other deckhand gets to fish. But not very often did I allow him to fish. But she would get so frustrated because she'd have like a minute to fish and she couldn't get her bait to where she wanted to get her bait. And she couldn't cast it out to where she wanted to cast it out. But Lori, that's a phenomenal comment you made, because Lou and Rena, I miss those two so much. They were such an integral part of my childhood. And your mom and dad, I know they enjoyed fishing with me. But if you guys think I have energy now, could you imagine what I was like in my 20s?
Well, that's why you found your niche in private fishing. That's all. Yeah. You weren't for the public.
But I was. I did a phenomenal job. I just did a phenomenal job. Just crazy Dave, they called me. But yep, Shayla, thank you so much for being on the show today. Thank you for coming down here and taking care of all of our animals. Like Shayla said, we're running a zoo here. We have 3 outside cats, 1 inside cat, and a monkey. It's crazy, and I thank you for coming. Thank you very much, and thanks for being on the show. Everybody, listen, this is it. This is our last live show. We will be back live with you on the 19th. I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. I hope you have a chance to check out Michael Folks' new show, The History of Sport Fishing. It's incredible. I'll give you guys one last look at the QR code if you guys want. I'm telling you, it is absolutely incredible. Whoops, that's not the QR code I'm trying to give you. This one is. You guys can check it out. You can go over there. I think it's $75 to get all 12 of them. You'll keep them. You'll have them forever. You're not going to not watch them. You're going to watch them over and over again. You're going to show them to your friends. You never even know. Those old timers like me, you might end up being on this show. You might go, wow, that was me. I was on the Shogun that day. That's me in 1980 or whatever. So check it out. History of Sport Fishing is an incredible series. Once again, I want to thank my sponsors for today, fishingbooker.com and Pacific Sport Fishing Alliance. That's where we're going, gang. We're going to Alaska, but we have one other trip with a couple of spots left. You can join me from the 10th through the 18th. We'll be at Adolfo's Lopez Mateos with Larry Hansen and the gang at Pacific Sport Fishing Alliance. You can join us there. You can come fish with me there. You can come see what it's like. I'm still the same knucklehead I was when I was 20. I still love fishing. If I could piss a puddle, I would fish in it. Join us on this trip down into Mexico. You have nothing to be afraid of. I live down here. I'm telling you, all the garbage you see on the news isn't true. KellyGirl and I live here. KellyGirl drives around down here all by herself all the time. It's not what you think. And when we go to Adolfo's Lopez Mateos, it is like as far away from anything as you could possibly imagine. We're going to have the time of our lives. It's a bucket list place. Like Larry Hansen and I say, if we only had one place left to fish on the planet, we would go to Adolfo's Lopez Mateos. I hope you all can join us there, and I will see you on the 19th. Oh, no, we'll do a couple live nighttime shows with everybody up in Alaska, but really, this is our last real live podcast till the 19th. Have a great night. Turn off the news, and God only knows what's going to happen next Tuesday.